They say the road to damnation isn't always marked by fire. Sometimes it's paved with smooth asphalt and lined with quiet trees. It promises you a shortcut, a quicker way home. It never tells you the true toll. It never whispers that some roads aren't routes at all, but digestive tracts. You are not a traveler. You are a meal, being slowly drawn toward a hungry, consecrated throat. This is not a story about getting lost. This is a story about a bargain struck in a forgotten tongue. A story of a man who gambled with money, then dared to gamble with accountants. Ledgers kept in bone, balance sheets written in regret. Gather close, family. This is the Dread Codex. And our story begins not on a road, but on an altar of broken promises, where faith is the bait and devotion is the teeth. My name is Robert. I do not drive back roads after sunset. I do not speak promises to the empty air. This is why. In the fall of 2014, my life was a well-oiled machine. Robert Gaines, 42, events manager at a high-end lodge in the Smokies. I left my condo at 8 a.m., managed other people's perfect days, returned at 8 p.m., my soul polished and empty. My wife Clara said my smile had become a brochure photo. My friends joked I'd traded my personality for a 401k. They weren't wrong. The divergence began with a gift of time. Clara took the kids to her sister's, a girls' trip. Inside, I rejoiced. A chance to reconnect with the man I used to be reckless, to be alive. The first sin was leaving work early, a fake migraine buzzing behind my eyes. The second was the money. A client's cash payment, $3,000, sat in my briefcase. The office was closed. It burned a hole in my conscience, then in my ambition. I wouldn't steal it. I just multiply it. Outside town, in a strip mall that smelled of mildew and desperation, was the Lucky Sovereign, a card room. A quiet, carpeted throat of a place. They knew me there. Respectable, Mr. Gaines. They served me weak coffee and weaker smiles. I started with $500. Then I was up $2,000. The old Robert was back, the one who laughed louder. Then the tide turned. The numbers bled away. The $3,000 of not quite mine money shrank to a final, defiant $500 chip. In a fury of pride, I shoved it all on a single blind bet. I didn't wait to see it lose. I walked out, the taste of copper and failure on my tongue. It was then, parked beside the old Milton's Point graveyard, where the founders lay under weeping angels, that I spoke the words that invited the storm. My hands shook not from cold, but from a banked, ugly rage. You're out there, right? I whispered to the leaning stones. All the stories, the things in the hollers, prove it. Get me my money back, and I'll give you your due. I'll honor you. But if you're not real... I sucked in smoke, my voice hardening. Then I'm done. I'll live in the world of balance sheets and concrete, and I'll laugh at your memory. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was absorbent. I drove off, the vow already fading into shame. When I returned to the Lucky Sovereign an hour later, the manager gripped my arm, eyes wide. Robert, your chip. The card it was on, it won. A 40-to-1 long shot. That's 20 grand. He placed a thick envelope in my hand. The weight was obscene. The world snapped into a glittering, beautiful focus. I tipped him 100, a king's ransom. I forgot the graveyard. I forgot the challenge. I broke the promise before the ink was dry in the unseen world. The plan was simple. Drive to the old Mountain View overlook near Crooked Pass, drink one expensive minibar scotch, savor my victory alone. I took the winding back route, Highway 142, a cracked ribbon of asphalt known locally as the Baptism. The first sign was the boy. My headlights found him standing perfectly still on the shoulder, just past the Leaving Milton's Point sign. He wore outdated, clean clothes, high-waisted trousers, a pressed shirt. He held a wicker basket. I slowed, more out of shock than charity. For the journey, sir, he said, voice flat. His eyes reflected my taillights, like an animal's. I took an apple, out of confused politeness, and gave him a $5 bill. He didn't thank me. He simply pointed up the dark road ahead. The apple turned to bitter pulp in my mouth after 2 bites. I threw it out the window. A mile later, a great oak seemed to fall in a silent explosion right in front of my bumper. I slammed the brakes, skidding to a halt, heart a trapped bird. I stumbled out. No fallen tree, no sound, only the smell of wet earth and rotten apples. And the boy was there again, beside my car, materialized from the wall of black pine. You dropped your offering, sir. This time his basket held long, thin white candles. Church candles. Beeswax. I don't need those, I stammered. Everyone needs light on the baptism, he replied, placing 2 candles on my passenger seat. The price is already paid. He turned and walked into the woods, not crunching a single twig. Fear, cold and solid, now sat in the car with me. Then the road began to show me things. Figures in pioneer clothing stepped into my high beams, passing through the hood of my car, faces gaunt and hungry. A woman in a soaking wet, old-fashioned dress stood in the center of the road, wringing out her hair, eyes hollow sockets. I jerked the wheel, but my tires never hit her. She'd be inside the car for a second, the smell of stagnant creek water filling the cabin before she was gone. It was not an attack. It was a procession. I was the guest of honor, driving down a gauntlet of the perpetually waiting. My GPS died. My phone showed no signal. The digital clock flickered between 2:17 a.m. and 00:00. The road unspooled, familiar landmarks gone, replaced by older, sharper hills. Flickering lantern lights in cabins that shouldn't exist. A distant, discordant hymn, sung by a choir with throats full of mud. Panic screamed in my chest. I prayed then, not to the things outside, but to the God I'd ignored. The words felt thin, swallowed by the dark. Just as terror was about to crack my mind, I saw a warm glow ahead. A small roadside chapel, stained glass window shining like a jewel. A sign, rest for the weary. All welcome. I almost sobbed, swerved into the gravel lot, burst through the door. It was warm inside, quiet. A single pew, a plain cross. An older woman with a kind, lined face stood near the altar, polishing a chalice. She looked up, eyes soft. "You found the shepherd's way," she said, voice a balm. The baptism road can be misleading for those who owe a debt. I babbled my story, the gambling, the money, the graveyard, the boy, the visions. She listened, a deep sadness in her eyes. "You stirred the old congregation, son," she sighed. "They hold covenants. They answer petitions. But they always collect." She handed me a folded piece of thick paper. "Take this. Keep it in your hand. Do not open it until you are safe in your own home, with your own lights on. It is a prayer of passage. It will see you the rest of the way. Go straight home. Do not stop. Do not look back." Grateful tears stung my eyes. I clutched the paper like a lifeline, shoved the cash into my coat, and fled. The moment I pulled onto the road, the atmosphere changed. The vision ceased. The road smoothed out. Within minutes, I saw the familiar glow of the interstate. I wept at the sight of a Shell station. It was only in my driveway, under the harsh, blessed glare of my porch light, that I remembered the folded paper. My heart swelled, a divine receipt for my salvation. I unfolded it. The paper was not paper. It was aged vellum. The writing was not a prayer. It was a response. The ink was a rusty umber, the script ornate and terrible. Robert of Gaines. Your petition was heard. Your offering of faith withheld is forfeit. Your currency is void. The balance owed, 1 attested soul. Witnessed. The interest accrues. As I read the final word, my porch light died. Not a blown bulb, a perfect, localized extinction. From the heating vent, a smell drifted out, wet earth, beeswax, and the sweet cloying scent of rotting apples. Clara found me on the porch at dawn, the vellum clutched in my hand, my skin cold as the grave. We moved. We fled to a city high-rise, endless electricity, no trees. The money from the envelope? If I leave a bill on the counter overnight, by morning it is folded into a perfect, sharp origami apple. Clara finds them. She doesn't ask anymore. My son whispers in his sleep a monotone chant, "The price is already paid." Clara wakes at 2:17 a.m. every night, hearing the soft, methodical shuffling of papers outside our door. And I've begun to understand the true horror. It is not the haunting. It is the administration. Last week, alone in the new living room, the oven clock flickered to 0-100. From the pristine white wall, a smell seeped out, not decay but vellum. Old, dry, sacred vellum. And a sound so faint it lived inside my ear canal. The soft, definitive scratch of a quill, writing something down. Adding a line. Subtracting a breath. The bargain is not over. The collection has not begun. They are merely calculating the accrued interest. This is the story of the baptism road. It is not a ghost story. It is a ledger. The oldest horrors are not chaotic. They are meticulous, patient. They hear your pride, your desperate whisper into the void, and they do not scream a reply. They file it. They notarize it in a blood you cannot see. Your soul becomes an entry in a column, and the interest compounds in silent terrors, in folded bills, in the hour of the night when you simply feel accounted for. So listen closely, family. If you are ever desperate enough to whisper a challenge to the darkness, if you are offered a gift by a stranger with animal eyes, if you are ever given a prayer you are told not to read, burn it. But know this, the smoke will carry, and they will note the loss. Some roads are not shortcuts. They are intake forms. And some debts are not paid with a scream, but with the silent, eternal understanding that you are now and forever on the balance sheet. If you have a story that haunts you, send it to contact.thedreadcodex@gmail.com. Your truth becomes our tale. Your likes and comments keep these stories alive. Until next time, may your path be lit. May your faith be your own. Good night.